Descent of the Demon God. By Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 88. Alpha Ghost. Part 1. Yes. Huban shouted loudly. At the thought of kicking some asses after a long time, he soared with determination. Come on. Who should I start with? Huban uttered. And then he pointed to the leader, Hong Pao-sun, and added. Hee, aren't you the head? Let's start with you. It was as if he was giving the weaker ones some time to rest. How dare you act this rude? Hong Pao-sun was around 59 years old. He was selected as the head of the Murim Association. He had also taught many people martial arts. With his outstanding talents, he managed to learn most of the essential techniques of the forces of justice formations. He was known to be the center of the forces of justice. He rose to the brink of greatness and was one of the few people known to be the next great warrior. His pride was overflowing. I guess you young people don't know your place. There is no need to even think about asking you to understand. Looking at his red face, anyone could tell how angry the man was. Young. Chen Yuan laughed openly at those words. You. It was unforgivable for a man in his early 20s to talk back to a branch president of the Murim Association. I am going to fix that bad habit of yours now. Tatak. Hong Pao-sun quickly moved at Chen Yuan, who was standing close to him. True to his skills, he moved in the fastest yet subtle way. He offended the head. TCH, he brought this on himself. The warriors of the Beijing Murim Association shook their heads. Being attacked by Hong Pao-sun meant that the young man would suffer badly. 18 palms of the dragon. From his right hand, a dominant force like the power of a dragon was unfolded. The technique, which was meant to block the opponent's escape, aimed for the enemy's blood points. Take this. Where do you think you are going? Hu Bong stepped ahead with great force. I should be the one dealing with this bastard. What? Bastard? At Chen Yuan's words, Hong Pao-sun turned even more enraged. Chen Yuan casually outstretched his hand. What is he trying to do? Cuck. The moment the palm touched the index finger, Hong Pao-sun's movement halted right away. The formation stopped. Since it depended on the lower body, he dug into the floor. Brrr. What is this? He blocked the president with one finger. The Murim warriors, who were watching, couldn't help but be shocked. Hong Pao-sun was trembling as his body was stopped when Chen Yuan didn't seem like he even did anything. Who is the young one here? Chen Yuan said. This guy. Who the hell is this guy? Hong Pao-sun was shocked. He was stopped by one finger. Just one finger. Was he hiding his skills? No, that wasn't the case. Since Chen Yuan reached the highest point in martial arts, his energy could never be felt, unless his opponent was stronger than him. This is so embarrassing. Hong Pao-sun's face turned beet red. It was shameful that his juniors were seeing him in such a miserable state. I can't let this happen. He hurriedly pulled himself and took a step back, pretending to be bold. He then clasped his hands. I thought you were young, but you have exceeded my expectations. Could you tell me the name? It was a trick. Pretending to be obedient, he would gather the energy and hit Chen Yuan in the crotch. No matter how strong a man was, he wouldn't be able to stand if that part of his body was hit. But... Bang! Quack! Chen Yuan stepped on his foot before he could even move. He stepped on it so hard that the foot dug into the floor. The foot was crushed, not broken. You troublesome old trash. Stop using your brain. Quack, you. And your mouth too. Chen Yuan reached for the mouth. Pack. Hook. His hand went past the helmet and grabbed the lips. It was as if Chen Yuan was trying to rip them out. You can't control this mouth, right? Ack. Hong Pao-sun tried to cut off Chen Yuan's hands. But Chen Yuan had always been faster. Weak. Quack. As he kept grabbing the lips, he hit the body. Kick. Thud. Ack. Hong Pao-sun, whose body was thrown to the floor, struggled to get up. Chen Yuan threw something to the floor. It was the torn lips of Hong Pao-sun. The other warriors were at a loss for words. Shit! Hong Pao-sun shouted. Wa ar idoi? Evian ek hai. What are you all doing? Everyone attack him. With his lips torn off, his pronunciation was off. But what was more annoying? Despite his scream, not a single warrior moved. They had just seen a superior master get his ass kicked so hard. Who was the idiot that would throw himself at such a monster? Those bastards. Hong Pao-sun was getting more and more pissed off. He thought that no matter how strong the enemy was, the juniors would come together and support him, but not a single person stepped forward. I guess not everyone is stupid. Chen Yuan approached him. Seeing that, Hong Pao-sun's face turned white. Is he going to kill me? It was such a funny situation. The person who was intending to kill was now thinking of his own death. Terrified, he tried to move backwards. Hiya, wa. I am the bra head of Wuryu. So Harwi is to challenge the authority of. Ya, wait. I am the branch head of the Murim Association of Beijing. To harm me is to challenge the authority of the Murim Association. Clash. Before he could even finish speaking, Chen Yuan waved his hand. And with a sharp sound, Hong Pao-sun's arm was cut off. Quack. My hand. Hand, Chen Yuan said. What about the Murim Association? Why you? Isn't he afraid of the Murim Association? The Murim Association was the center of the Murim world. No warrior would challenge the authority of the Murim Association, which was backed by the State Council. But Chen Yuan didn't even seem bothered. When Chen Yuan tried to raise his hand, Hong Pao-sun began to shout. Let me go. Please. I have done wrong. If you realize, then accept your punishment. Words didn't seem to work, so Hong Pao-sun used his last resort. Please spare my life. I have a young daughter to look after. If I die, she will have no one to look after her. An emotional appeal. Chen Yuan looked at him with a disgusted expression. You are a funny man. What about the people you were about to kill? Don't they have families too? Pointing to the survivors. Be you. The survivors were clearly angry at the Murim warriors. He tried to kill them to hide the truth, and now he was dying in a humiliating way right in front of them. Kill him. He doesn't deserve to live. Some survivors shouted. If it was a normal day, they would have thought rationally about it, but not today. These people suffered and saw their beloved die at the hands of ghosts. Die. Everyone shouted. I see. Chen Yuan smiled and tried to draw his sword. I can't die. Fat. The desire to live was so strong that Hong Pao-sun forgot about his injuries and flew towards the Murim warriors. They didn't help him, so he decided to use them as a shield and escape. Did you think you could run away? Chen Yuan reached out and pulled him back with internal energy. Startle. This? At that time, a somber energy flowed around, which startled Chen Yuan. It was completely different from the cold feeling going around. The energy was so strong that Chen Yuan wasn't the only one who noticed it. T, this energy? All the warriors turned their heads around and checked. The direction was at the factory entrance, which was right behind them. Still. Starting from the entrance, white frost began to fall down on the floor and walls. The walls and floors were all losing their color and turning white as if there was a drop in temperature. The phenomenon was spreading out so fast that no one could even recover from the shock of seeing it. All of a sudden, the phenomenon which was moving around came for the warriors, who were standing still in fear. No. Noticing that, the warriors gulped and looked at the gloomy energy. Something pure white had appeared through the wall. Shoo! The warriors, who looked at it, were shocked. It was a ghost 3 times larger than a normal one, which would normally be the size of a human. Shh. With white particles moving behind and around it as if it was waving a dress, the identity was easy to know. Alpha. Alpha. The warriors who recognized it spoke out loud. This was the key to closing the gate, which opened right inside the city. Damn it. Hong Pao Sun was losing it. An alpha entity had appeared right where he was, and he wasn't even in the state of dealing with it. This was the worst situation. When he looked behind, he saw Chen Yuan looking at the alpha ghost. He is interested in the alpha too. Any warrior would be interested in an alpha. Killing an S-class alpha and getting the S-class core was the dream of any warrior. Ah. In that brief moment, Hong Pao Sun thought of an idea. He thought of it as an opportunity. The alpha ghost was an enemy which threatened humanity. He thought that with this, he could convince Chen Yuan, so he shouted at him. Look. No more fights between us. How about working together and getting rid of this? I will yield the core. It was then. Yuk. A warrior shouted in surprise. What happened? Huh? Hong Pao Sun was shocked and wondered why there was a scream. He saw that the floor was turning white, and the eerie energy kept on moving. The color of the Murim warrior's shoes had changed. That was just the beginning. Shh. What is this? My feet are cold. They aren't moving. What is this? Quack. In an instant, the man's body turned pale and fell. Seeing the frozen body fall, the others shouted. He is dead. Everyone run. Flustered, the warriors retreated away from the white frost. Each time the alpha ghost moved, the range of its control would widen. So they kept on running away. Shh. What kind of monster? They all knew that alphas were different and hard to handle. With ordinary ghosts, they only had to worry about being touched, but this one was able to use its power on the ground and walls. Another unexpected thing happened. Shoo! White particles rose from the body of the dead warriors. It was Ghost. Ghost came out of the body. At the birth of a ghost from the dead body, the warriors went stiff. Even though the ghost had a fuzzy shape, it looked very similar to the dead man. It was as if he had died and turned into a ghost. At that moment, the voice of someone could be heard from the earphones in the helmet. Click. This is West, Team 1, can you listen? The voice belonged to Pungnun Jayam, the leader of the West team. The cracking voice continued. Click. Among the ghosts, the team members who went from the east. We found similar shaped ghosts, SHHH, we guess, the hazard entities, are from humans, these ghosts have to be, click. With that, the voice cut off. It sounded like the connection cut off because something wasn't right, but each warrior could understand what Pungnun Jayam was saying. No. Then the ghosts we killed so far were people? The Murim people were shocked. The ghosts did seem like humans. They were shocked, and the culprit of this situation was the Alpha. Ghosts came from dead humans. Shoo. Meanwhile, the ghost that rose from the dead body rushed for them. A warrior used sword energy and shouted. He was Ha Hien Wu. Whoa! Does that change anything? In the end, dead people never come back. If that is the case, there is nothing wrong in killing them again. Ha Hyenwu used his sword. Slash. Something unbelievable happened. The ghost which came running at him evaded the sword and unleashed a footwork. How? As if being a ghost wasn't enough, it held something like a sword in its hand. Sword? The ghost swung it at Ha Hyenwu. However, the sword wasn't simply moving but was unleashing a sword technique. The sword technique of the dead warrior. Martial arts? Flustered, Ha Hyenwu responded to it. He thought that the ghost would be vulnerable to heat, so he used sword energy as he unleashed techniques. Clang. No. How is it stopping sword energy? Even sword energy could be stopped. He looked at the ghost which was moving, and the hand which seemed to be holding something hazy like another sword. Puck. At that moment, the ghost's hand, which looked like a sword, pierced the chest of Ha Hyenwu. Shocked, he tried to block it with his bare hands. Shoo! Quack! The moment he came in contact with the ghost, his body turned white and died. Thud! Hyenwu! The warriors who were close to him shouted. But that was just the beginning. Several ghosts appeared through the wall behind the Alpha. And they were all Murim ghosts coming from the south. Chapter 89. Alpha Ghost. Part 2. 60 or so ghosts, with hazy weapons in their hands, moved. If each ghost was able to perform martial arts like they had just witnessed, then everyone in the factory was in a huge crisis. What should we do? The only advantage they could have was if there was someone stronger than the ghosts among them. However, the branch president of the Murim Association was now injured. Shoo! The Alpha Ghost moved, not giving them time to ponder. As it moved, the range of the ice floor widened even more. And now, it occupied nearly a fifth of the factory. We have to run away. We can't go against all of them. Terrified, the warriors began to run. They turned and ran to where the survivors were. Shoo! Shoo! From the side of the factory, regular ghosts arrived. In huge numbers. At first glance, it seemed like all the ghosts in the vicinity flocked to this place. Damn it! All the exits were blocked. Flustered and bewildered, the warriors heard something similar to a burst of eerie laughter from the Alpha Ghost. Hoo 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 hoo. A hazy ghostly laugh. The sight and sound were both creepy. Is it summoning ghosts around here? It was a known fact that the Alpha was the leader of the group. But this was the first time they were seeing such a level of intelligence. This Alpha knew how to control its kind. Kayak. This is it. We are all going to die. The survivors were all scared, looking at the huge number of ghosts. There was no way that anyone would be calm in such a situation. Even the warriors were the same. This is it. There is only one way to go out. It is unreasonable to face the Alpha and the warrior ghosts at the same time. Their eyes naturally turned to the survivors. The ghosts were coming in huge numbers, but at least sword energy works on them. If their objective wasn't to subdue the enemy but to break past them, then there was only one chance. Shh. The range of the ice moved further as the Alpha moved a little. The ghosts went closer to the people, enjoying the fear in their eyes. Hoo 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 hoo. The creepy laughter from the Alpha was heard again. The warriors, who looked at each other, nodded. And the moment they decided to move. Shoo! Chen Yuan opened his mouth. Hu Bong. Yes, Lord. Change of plans. Take refuge with your wife and those people. I will clean this place. Yes. Hu Bong was disappointed, but he still answered. He wanted to fight with Chen Yuan too, but he couldn't leave his wife or the other people alone. For the sake of my wife. He didn't care too much about the survivors who didn't belong to their cult, but he couldn't ignore his wife. Hu Bong raised his arms, and at that moment, weak, dozens of flame spheres appeared in the air. The ghosts, who were slowly narrowing the distance, didn't come any closer because of the heat. What? Is that guy a monster too? Hong Pao-sun was shocked. He didn't expect Hu Bong to be this strong. It was hard to believe that Hu Bong was a martial artist in the first place. This just made him go silent. He fully embodied the flame qi. Chen Yuan was satisfied with Hu Bong's development. He did see Hu Bong fight in the cave. It felt like he had fully taken in the qi. It was beyond metamorphosis. At that, Hu Bong smiled and said, I might not be able to handle it as precisely as my lord, but this much is good. Hu Bong reached out towards the ghosts. The flame spheres rushed at them at once. Weak. Shoo. The ghosts tried to avoid being hit by the flame spheres, but there were too many of them, and they got hit. Pop a pack. The targeted ghosts were torn apart. Hu Bong didn't stop with that. He concentrated on hitting the walls with flame. Swoosh. Quang. Quack quack quang. As a result, the northern entrance, which was filled with ghosts, was opened. Not missing the chance, Mun Ranyang yelled. I will take the lead, everyone, follow me. Fat. She stepped forward with a flame sphere in her hand and used it whenever a ghost got close. She had exhausted her energy, so now she was using a small amount of energy to deal with normal ghosts. Hurry up. We will live. Woa. The survivors, who were scared of dying, shouted as they followed her. Hu Bong followed behind them and eliminated the ghosts that were following. Done. Open the way. We should follow them too. The scared warriors flew in the other direction. In order to not miss the chance, Hong Pao-sun also tried to escape from there. Pang. Huh. The Murim warriors, who were running at their best, were blocked by something and bounced back. They tried to move again, but something like a strong wall was blocking them. What is this? I can't get past this. Hong Pao-sun, who knew what it was, mumbled in shock. This, internal energy? Although he was injured, he could feel the energy. And what stood in their way was energy itself. This is internal energy? The eyes of the Murim people turned towards Chen Yuan, who had his hand outstretched. It was absurd that this man was trying to prevent them from leaving the place. What the hell is this? Aren't you going to pull back the energy? Shoo. Gradually, white color spread on the floor to where they were standing. Chen Yuan spoke calmly. Since when did you think that we were on the same side? What? At those words, the Murim people couldn't hide their shock. Who would have thought that Chen Yuan would still consider them as enemies, despite a greater enemy standing right in front of him? Please don't do this. I beg of you. We are all Murim warriors here. Please open the way. This isn't the right way. The Murims were begging. But Chen Yuan didn't even blink his eyes and said, Have a good battle. And he smiled. Damn it. I am going to break this. In the end, the Murim people tried to break down the wall of energy using their swordsmanship. But that was an impossible thing. Shoo. Because the ghosts which went back flew towards them. Hook. Stop. The warriors hastily confronted them. As seen before, warrior ghosts could use their swordsmanships. Papak. It was as if two warriors were fighting. However, since ghosts were extremely dangerous at a close distance, the Murim warriors had to fight them from afar. Kook. Hong Pao-sun was the only one who couldn't fight because of the injury and remained in front of the invisible wall, staring at Chen Yuan with hateful eyes. You are not human. If you really want to get rid of the resentment, you should deal with those entities which are the enemies of mankind first. His lips were ripped off, so his speech was slurred. That's why he sent a telepathic message. Enemies? Aren't you trying to use me and the other warriors here to fight the ghosts? Since no matter how strong you are alone. Grab. Quack. Chen Yuan extended his arm and acted like he grabbed the neck of Hong Pao-sun, who now seemed to be in pain. You are misunderstanding something. Cough, what? Do you think I didn't let you people go out because I am using you? At those words, Chen Yuan stretched out his other hand to the sky. Weak. An uncountable number of flame swords was generated inside the factory. The factory turned hot all of a sudden. What is this? Flame swords? The warriors who were fighting ghosts couldn't help but be shocked. This flame was different from the flame sphere that Hubon used. Hong Pao-sun, who looked at that, forgot his pain and stared at Chen Yuan. Who the hell is he? 5 great warriors of the current Murim. No, even the president of the Murim Association, who is known to be the strongest, could he do this? Chen Yuan said. Why do you think I did this? It was to get rid of all of you here at once. At Chen Yuan's words, Hong Pao-sun's face turned pale. The man's intention was to kill everyone within the factory. And that was the reason why he sent the survivors, Hubon and Mun Ranyang, outside. Hoo. The alpha ghost made a strange sound. And all the ghosts which were fighting with the warriors rushed at Chen Yuan at once. Even the monster has a smart brain. Alpha ghost knew that Chen Yuan had to be stopped. Chen Yuan looked up at him and smiled. Late. And then, he lifted his arm, which was holding Hong Pao-sun's neck. What are you trying to do? Hong Pao-sun's eyes trembled and moved his body. But nothing worked. Chen Yuan immediately threw Hong Pao-sun at the ghosts, which were rushing in. No. He screamed as much as he could. Pack. Quack. But he collided with the ghost head-on and lost his life right away as his body fell to the ground. President. The warriors were shocked at the outrageous death of their head and glared at Chen Yuan. Who could have thought that the man would be thrown at the ghosts? You ruthless man. How could you do that? Chen Yuan extended his hand, not bothering with them. You all should worry about your own lives. What? Who? At that moment, all the flame swords came down at once. Cha-cha-chuck. See, crazy bastard. Avoid it. Terrified, the warriors tried to avoid it, but the flame swords were faster. Quack-quack-quang. Sky flash of flame swords. This was much stronger than the normal sky flash. The flames indiscriminately destroyed not just the ghosts, but even the warriors and the factory. 400 meters away from the factory site. Bang! 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 Explosions erupted everywhere. What is that? Look over there. Swoosh! Rays of flames were seen across the sky in the distance. The survivors who were fleeing were stunned. Because the explosions were coming from the factory they were in. Only Hubong was smiling. Hee. Indeed, my lord is the best. Chapter 90. Alpha Ghost. Part 3. In the heart of Datong City. The eyes of the Murim people inside the moving military truck were directed somewhere. It was where the red beams and explosions appeared from a distance. Look over there. What is that? It was far, so they couldn't make out what was actually happening. But they knew for sure that something crazy had occurred. Might be the Alpha. What do we do, leader? The Murims asked someone for his opinion. It was the leader of this group, Budu Qian, the president of Six Life Insurance. He was leaning against the driver's seat when he knocked on the window and said to the driver, "Knock. Change the direction." "Yes." The military truck veered towards the red beam. A factory swept away by flames. Not only the inside, but even the entire building had collapsed. It was now only filled with traces of destruction. Even the surrounding factories had collapsed, making the entire area look like a bombing scene. Did I overdid it? In the middle of the factory, Chen Youwen was standing. He glanced around and mumbled. It definitely seemed like he overdid it. However, there was nothing like Sky Flash when it came to removing multiple enemies at once. Forget about the ghosts, finding the bodies of the Murim warriors now seemed impossible. Chen Youwen looked at the sky in the southwest direction. There was energy coming in from the gate, which meant that the Alpha wasn't dead. "Where are you?" "You." Having broadened his senses, Chen Youwen's gaze turned from the sky to his feet. It was then. Shh. Where Chen Youwen was standing, the ground lost its life and turned white. Phut. Chen Youwen jumped into the air. In that brief moment, something jumped out at high speed. That blurry thing was the Alpha Ghost. "You were hiding there?" All parts of the Alpha Ghost's body were hurt with the flame, and because of that, it seemed angry. The Alpha Ghost emitted waves of white particles, which floated in all directions, and then came for Chen Youwen. Shh. The white particles moved very quickly. In an instant, they reached Chen Youwen. The Alpha titled its head. Shockingly, nothing occurred to Chen Youwen even though the white stuff touched him. "Did you think you could steal my soul?" Black energy rose from Chen Youwen's body. The sky demon energy protected him. "It seems like I'm closer to darkness than you are." Chen Youwen smiled. Pure darkness, the energy that was filled with resentment, hatred, and murderous intent, could never succumb. "Now it is my turn." "Shoo!" Chen Youwen raised his hand. 5 invisible swords suddenly appeared around him. Sky demon energy and flame chi were both engulfing them. Weak. The black flame gave an uncontrollable power that was so different from a regular flame chi sword. Brrr. Hoo. Did it sense the pure darkness and the bursting heat on the swords? The Alpha Ghost stopped aiming for Chen Youwen and tried to run away. Useless. Chen Youwen stretched out his hand towards it. As if waiting, the 5 swords rushed and pierced the Alpha Ghost. As it was an alpha, it was more heat-resistant than normal ghosts. However, nothing could stand against the almighty black flame. An uncanny scream of unbearable pain. Not wanting to die, the Alpha Ghost tried to seep its body into the floor. "That will be your grave." Swish. As Chen Youwen waved his hand, the black flame swords changed their trajectory and aimed for the other parts of the Alpha's body. Shoo. Puck. The white particles turned black as they scattered everywhere. When it repeated over 3 times, the Alpha Ghost's original form was destroyed. Thud. The gate core, in the form of a black sphere, fell to the floor. The core was the size of a human head. Sweet. This would have been an absurd sight. How many people could make an S-class alpha entity run away? Chen Youwen grabbed the core and used his internal energy. Strong. The A-class core had cracked when he used this level of internal energy. But this core was holding its ground. Indeed. How expected from an S-class core. Then he would have to put more effort. When Chen Youwen applied double the energy, it began to crack. Eventually, the outer shell of the core was completely cracked, and a gap opened. JJKKK. Pang. A strong wave of energy erupted from inside the cracked shell. Shoo! The wave spread in all directions. It was as if it moved at the speed of light. The entire city of Datong was covered. Before long, the gate to the southwest began to close. Bang! Bang! At the wall around the Datong city, the defense forces, who were desperately trying to stop the ghosts from coming out, shouted in shock. There. The ghosts have disappeared. Shh. The ghosts left like ghosts. Their forms shattered and disappeared in white. Wah! The soldiers who were watching this cheered at once. The people in the aircraft tanks and those on the wall were all excited. The garrison was in an uproar too. Commander! The gate is closing. Whoa! All the officers in the barracks screamed and cheered at the lieutenant's report. It was a miracle that an S-class hazard gate was closed within 2 days. Cho Hyung-moo, who was next to the commander, patted him on the back. Look there. What you said couldn't happen happened. At the man's political way of talking, the commander's face frowned. It was obvious just how much this man was going to use the gate to his advantage. And then, Cho Hyung-moo said, Commander, what are you doing? Now, if there are no ghosts, conduct a large-scale search quickly. He did not forget to look for his kids. At that moment, the expression of the commander darkened. None of the warriors he deployed had reported anything back. Meanwhile, Chen Yowon was looking at the shell. There was still a piece of shell attached to the core, but the energy reaching out was strong. Phhhh. When Chen Yowon induced more energy, the cracked shell pieces fell apart. Swoosh! A pure core emitting light was revealed. Oh! An exclamation flowed out of Chen Yowon's mouth. When he examined the A-class core, the amount of energy was comparable to that of a spirit beast core. However, the power inside this S-class core was much stronger than that. Twice the energy of an A-class. Everyone wants it. If someone would take this energy, then not just something on the level of Divine Master, but it could be a whole different level of growth. However, the energy emitted in this core was so great that it seemed unreasonable for normal warriors to consume it without refining it. The body won't stand it. Only by reaching enlightenment would one's body accept such a form of energy. Recklessly accepting any source of energy might make it turn into a poison. Tack. Chen Yowon grabbed the S-class core and then kept playing catch with it. Well, this is of no use to me. For Chen Yowon, this pure form of energy was meaningless. By absorbing the cores of 5 spirit beasts, he gained absolute strength and surpassed the limits of a normal human body. He was able to freely use the energy in nature after reaching the heavenly master level. I don't need it. If it could have a use, then maybe to train others. The Sky Demon Order surely lacked skill in this era. And in this time, since the energy in nature was lacking, such a core was a treasure to have. Then, let's go to Hubong, HM? At that time, Chen Yowon narrowed his eyes and looked at the core. He didn't realize it because of the light, but he saw something hazy inside the core. What? It was hard to see. Nano, control the light which enters my eyes. Adjusting the light in wide mode. Wong. Chen Yowon's pupils shook and contracted. The light then faded away. The phenomenon where the light entering his eyes was controlled. In doing so, he examined the core. Huh? Something was inside the core. Something uniquely shaped. Chen Yowon asked. Nana, what is this? Unknown. It is wrapped in pure core energy that cannot be checked. If I break it, will it come out? That will result in a significant loss of energy. Can you temporarily absorb the energy of the core? Possible. In the past, Nano managed to absorb the core of the white tiger and then passed it to Chen Yuan. It took that energy as a recharge. The gadolinium metal in Nano made it possible. And this metal was something beyond the gate which didn't exist on Earth. Then, do it. Understood. Shoo. Chen Yuan's hands, which were holding the core, soon had gloves equipped on them. Wires protruded and wrapped around the core, absorbing the energy of the core. 5%. The light was being sucked in. Nano, who had absorbed the energy from the white tiger core in the past, did this with ease. 20%. However, it was happening faster than expected. Since the energy was pure, it seemed like the process of absorbing it happened quickly. 90%. The energy was absorbed in 5 minutes. The dazzling light on the core was sucked away, and now it looked weak. This should be enough. Chen Yuan used strength onto the weakened core. Then the core cracked like the outer shell. Phhh. When he applied more force, it cracked more. And then the unique shaped thing hidden inside came into view. What is this? There was something the size of a palm, and it gave off a dazzling light. As expected. It contained a lot of energy too. However, this weird star-shaped core had a unique aura. It resembled the gloomy alpha ghost energy. Chen Yuan was watching it carefully when an unexpected phenomenon unfolded. DRRR. Huh? Chen Yuan brought out the wrist guard on his right hand, which was trembling. It was as if it was resonating with the new star-shaped core. What? Why is the Sky Demon sword? Chen Yuan couldn't figure it out. The Sky Demon sword was a sword made from a meteorite that fell on the earth during the time of Chen Ma. It had the energy of the fallen dragon, but this was the first time that this sword had resonated like this except when it was first acquired. What is it trying to say? Sky Demon sword. PRRR. The star-shaped core trembled. They were trying to get closer along with the resonation. It was then. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Chen Yuan didn't call for it, yet the sword came out on its own. Pack. At that time, the star-shaped core in Chen Yuan's hand got attached to the sword. At the unknown phenomenon, Chen Yuan tried to hurriedly grab it away from the stone. But something amazing happened. Shh. From the star-shaped core, a bright blue light entered into the sword. And the sword, too, began to be entirely engulfed in the brilliant blue light. The light soon spread to Chen Yuan's hand. Flash. The blue light permeated Chen Yuan's hand. Chen Yuan, who felt an intense ting like a lightning strike, let go of the sword, but illusions appeared in his mind. This is... Shoo. It was like when Nano sent him information. However, this wasn't that simple. Ugh. As if it was being engraved into his mind, the illusion was showing him something. And suddenly, blue light flashed from Chen Yuan's eyes. Tuck. When he was immersed into this, the bright blue light disappeared from the star-shaped core as it fell to the ground. It was now emitting an ordinary light like a pure core. BRRR. Chen Yuan, unaware of that, continued to be captivated by the blue illusion and didn't move. 10 minutes passed. Rumble. 30 men in protective suits ran towards the factory ruins. They were all warriors who came in haste. They were looking for something in the ruins. This is... A vast energy around the place stimulated their senses. It was the energy of the S-class core. The Murim people who had a good sense went closer. Leader. There. A warrior pointed to the center, where only rubble remained. Someone was standing there with a sword. Chen Yuan. Oh my. The eyes of all the warriors turned in a certain direction. Goo. 1 meter in front of Chen Yuan, a star-shaped core was emitting a dazzling light. Core. The faces of warriors who discovered the core turned greedy. It wasn't a normal core. It was an S-class. It was the greatest treasure for all the people. Of course, not everyone looked at the core. Buduqian, the president of Six Life Insurance, was puzzled. Why is he being like that in front of the core? Chen Yuan was watching from a distance as if he had lost his mind. He couldn't see if the man was dazed or just lost consciousness, but his eyes were open. It was strange for someone to act like that in front of a core. Fat. A warrior, who couldn't hold back the greed, flew there. What are you doing? Whoever gets it first is its owner. Come on, wait up. We don't know anything yet. That man has lost his mind, so the owner of the core hasn't been decided yet. Shit. That one. Fat. In order to not lose the core, the other warriors too went there too. They no longer saw their leader as a leader. They were all wanting to get their hands on the S-class core. Mine. I need to get the S-class core. The time when everyone raced there with hopes. Shoo. Chen Yuan's eyes, which had lost focus, were back to normal. The warriors who didn't see that were only focusing on the core. Rats have flocked over here. 17 were running towards the core, trying to be faster than the others to catch it. This is good. Chen Yuan smiled as he looked at them. There was something that he wanted to check out. Chen Yuan put the Sky Demon sword to the ground and touched it. Pack. That moment. Blue light flashed from the Sky Demon sword, and its color began to change like frost. The ground where the sword touched turned all white. Wait. Stop everyone. Bo Goqian, who was watching it from afar, shouted at them. However, since they were too greedy, they didn't care and kept going for the core. It was then. Quack. 5 warriors, who were running ahead, stopped, and their bodies trembled. What? Why did they stop? The warriors who were behind them were puzzled. All 5 of them turned white. And went stiff. This? This was something they had seen. A phenomenon that happened when one died in the hands of a ghost. At that moment, the voice of Buduqian entered the other warriors' ears. Get away now. Don't touch the ground. Shoo. Shoo. Huh? Suddenly, the floor ahead was losing life in it. Flustered, the warriors backed away. What is this? Why is the ground? But their shock didn't end there. Shoo. From the 5 bodies which lost life, a hazy thing emerged. It left ghost traces and white particles as it moved up. G-Ghost. It was the hazard entity ghost. From the eyes of the blurred ghosts, blue light was radiating. Like the one coming from the Sky Demon sword.